this video, we're going to talk about casework. We're also going to talk about finding components, things like that for your different spaces. So the first thing we want to talk about is the casework or the cabinets. You're going to be adding some of these. Those of you that's had the residential, you probably remember that they come in sections. They come without countertops. They come without sinks. So you have to build the whole component together typically. As with other components, Revit loads several types to represent the most valuable useful sizes available. Cabinets typically come in 3-inch increments with different types, single, double door, etc., having maximum and minimum sizes. Cabinet widths should not exceed 4 feet. So when you make a cabinet that you need an 8-foot counter, it needs to be at least made from 2 4-foot sections. Doors on cabinets should not exceed 2 feet due to warpage and weight on the hinges. So if you have a 4-foot wide cabinet section that has a pair of doors on it, you would be okay. But if you try to go to a 3-foot section and put a single 3-foot door on it, I am going to show you how to select the components, also show you how the control arrows work, and show you how to do the room tag. Let's open Revit and get started. Let's say we wanted to put some cabinets along this wall here. So what I need to do is I'm going to go to my architecture tab, and I'm going to go to component. I'm going to go to place a component. I'm going to go to load family, and right here I have casework. You'll notice under casework I have base cabinets, countertops, shelving, tall cabinets, and wall cabinets. So we want to start with our base cabinets. We're going to pretend like this is our break area. I know I need to have a cabinet that has a sink in it. Well, the first thing I notice here is I have ones labeled base cabinet, and then I have ones labeled vanity cabinets. Vanity cabinets are what we use in residential bathrooms. They're not as tall as typical base cabinets. These are like 32 inches tall. The ones we want are going to be 3 feet tall. So if I click on one of these, I can get an idea of what this particular cabinet looks like. So I can do a corner one if I wanted to. Here's one that has a double door. And since I want to start with my cabinet that has the sink in it, this is the one that I want to use. You'll notice it has what we call a false front on it, because the plumbing is going to hang down in here, and if I put drawers there, it's not really going to be useful. I could take my doors all the way up, but then again, I'm going to see a lot of the sink and stuff when I open that, so I may not want to do that. So if I click on that and I say open, you'll see over here it brought that cabinet in. If I look at that, it gives me different sizes. Notice that they are in 3-inch increments. So I want to go ahead and make this a 36-inch cabinet. This would give me 15-inch doors, and it will give me enough room to put a sink in there. So if I click on that and I bring it over, and I'll zoom in here, you'll see where my cursor is. That is the back side of the cabinet. I have students all the time place their cabinets in backwards and never go do a 3D or a section view to see if everything is turned correctly. So to get this to rotate, if I hit the space bar, then it will do that. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to start over here in this corner, and I'm going to place that cabinet. Then I need some more cabinets in here. So I'm going to go back to my component, load family, and this time I want some drawers. So I'm going to open that family, and again I can make different sizes. I'm going to make it a 21-inch cabinet, and again I want to rotate it around, and I'm going to place it tightly against the wall and against the other cabinet. I'm going to go ahead and just place one more cabinet, and this time I'm going to do one that has 2 drawers and 2 doors. And again, I'm going to come over and select the size, and I want to go to a 45-inch. And again, I'm going to rotate that around, and I'm going to place it against the other cabinet and against the wall. Before I go any further, I should do a view of this. So I'm going to do a section view looking at my cabinet, and then if I click on the blue part, it's going to take me and show me. That looks pretty good. I've got a place for my sink, I've got some drawers, and then I have some other storage areas. So now if I go back to my plan, the next thing I need to do is I need to place the countertop. So again, I'm going to go to Architecture, and I'm going to go to Component, and I'm going to go to Load Family, and I'm going to back up. And here I have countertops. I have a countertop with a sinkhole. That's probably the one I want to use. Countertop with a sink. That actually has the sink in it, so I could go with that one even. That would be even easier. I have just a plain countertop. I have one that has no backsplash. This is for like an island. I have L-shaped. I have an L-shape with the sinkhole, and all of these can be modified. So I'm just going to pick the one with the sinkhole so that we can do some adjustments on it. And I'm going to say open. Now if I come over here, you'll see I have only one because it's going to let me adjust the lengths of this. So now I need to rotate this around so that it is facing the other way. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to place it right on the corner of my cabinet. You'll notice it overlaps the cabinet because that typically is how it works. The other thing is it's not long enough, but all I got to do is stretch it out and place it against my wall. Now my sink is also in the wrong place. So again, I can grab this sink and I can move it to where it's centered in my cabinet here. So now if I go look at this again in my section view, you can see I have my cabinet that has the backsplash on it. I can't see the sink because there's nothing in there yet. But now I can place a sink in here. So again, if I go to Component, do Place a Component, go to Load Family, and I back out again. And this time I'm going to go to Plumbing, and I'm going to select Architectural, Fixtures, and I'm going to go to Sinks. So I could do a double. I could do just like an island type sink, or I can do a single. That's the one that I want to use. So I'm going to say open, and again if I come over here under this particular sink I only have one size, and again I'm going to use my space bar and I'm going to place it. Now it may not fit perfectly in the hole, but that's okay as long as the hole is covered up by the fixture. So now if I go back to my elevation, now I can actually see the sink in there, and if I click on this you'll see that the bottom of the sink is actually a little bit below that false panel, but that's okay. So now I'm going to go back to my plan and I'm going to add my upper cabinets. I don't remember the dimensions of how long my cabinet is, so I'm going to look at it, and I have 8'6". So probably what I want to do is, one, this cabinet here that I did, I probably should make the upper cabinet piece at that one the same size, which is 3 feet. Back to my component, and I go to Load Family, and I back up again, and I go back to Casework, and now I pick wall cabinets. I have an upper cabinet in the corner, I have another unit, I have a single one with doors, I have one that just has double doors, cabinet filler, glass, and a single. So I'm going to go with the double because I have a double door below, and I'm going to say open. And again over here I'm going to have different sizes that I can pick from. Since I did 3 feet, I want to go ahead and do 3 feet. And now again I want to place it against the wall, and I kind of missed a little bit, so I can do a line, and it's a line there, and I want to make sure it's tight against the wall, and it is tight against the wall, so it aligns over here. Now because I did some weird dimensions here, I'm probably going to want to keep the next door the same size as this cabinet. So again I'm going to measure it, and I did 1'9". This one can just be a single door, So I'm going to go back to my architecture. I'm going to go to component, place a component, load family, and I'm going to pick the single door unit. And again, I'm going to pick the sizes. I believe I did 21 inches. Again, it has to be against the wall. If I don't put it against the wall, I get that little error. So again, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to try to place it tightly. But if I don't, I can zoom in and I can align it. Pick that side of the cabinet and that side of the cabinet. Now it's aligned, and it's aligned to the wall. This last cabinet was a 4-foot cabinet, so I can use a 4-foot upper cabinet. So if I go to architecture, I go to component, place component. If I come back in here, I should already have this one in here. I have a 48-inch with the double door. So I'm going to pick that one, and I'm going to place it again close, and then I'll probably have to just align it. It will automatically start to the wall, but it doesn't automatically snap to the adjacent cabinet. I've done something wrong. Let's go see what we've got going on here. It's overlapping. So really this one, I want it to be a 45-inch cabinet. Now again, I can just align it, and now everything lines up. Typically my upper cabinets should align with my lower cabinets. So now I can come in and set my microwave. I just need to make sure that it comes in at the right height, on counter height. So I can do adjustments to things in my elevation views as well as in my plan views. So that's how you would do cabinets. Furniture, again, you have lots of different places. This is one of the downfalls of Revit, is trying to figure out where certain things are. You have furniture here, and you have like seating, you have task chairs, desk chairs, you have tables, you have desks in here, you have a round table that could be possibly the one that you want to use for your reception area. So you have those choices. If we go in here to detail items, you might find some other things in here, some equipment that possibly you won't find in other areas. But again, there's a lot to look for. Electrical, entourage. This is like your people. When we get ready to do our renderings, we will add people. So there are lots of different components. Sometimes it's more difficult to try to find them in Revit than to go somewhere like Revit City. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about your room tags and your door tags in this section. You should have already placed room tags. And again, we want to be sure to see the area. So if I click on that tag and I go to edit and I click on show area, it will adjust all of my tags to do that. The door tags work very similarly. Now, if this area is called 108, you notice this door is 108A and 108B. Typically, the way the door swings is the number of the door. So here, going into my men's and my women's, I have 103 and 102. When I place a tag, I need to make sure I place a tag in here, I place a tag in here, I place a tag in here, and place a tag out here. Every area needs to have a tag. Now in this case, this door swings into the reception area, so it would probably be numbered the same as the reception area. This one, because it's the entrance into the reception area, could also be named the same number. You would do an A and a B, or it could possibly be the same number as the lobby. There really is no right or wrong way to do those. But to add a door tag, annotate tab, and we can do tag by category, and if we pick the door, you'll see it automatically adds the tag. But you are going to have to go in and edit it to be the right number to match the room, because it won't know that. So you need to make sure that before you turn this part in, that you've added all of your room tags and you've added the door tags. The next part of the assignment is you need to do a door schedule, a window schedule, and a wall schedule. I'm not going to cover this because it tells you in your book exactly how to do it. I've told you how to name the door schedule, what items I want in in the schedule. If you have questions, be sure to ask me. So that will be the last part of this assignment. I want to go back into our Revit file and I want to talk about pulling components from Revit City and Enscape. So the first thing you'll want to do is go to your browser and go to revitcity.com. And if you want to use my login, here is the information for it. I will leave it up here on the screen for a little bit. It is also on the board in the classroom. So what you will do is you will go to the login and either put in your username and password that you signed up for, or you can put mine in, it does not matter, and you click on login. Once you get logged in, you need to go right here to where it says search. So if I click on search, it's going to bring up a search bar. So say for instance I wanted to add a fireplace. I just type in a word and I go to search, and it's going to bring up several different things. A couple of things I want to make sure that it is a Revit file, because sometimes it may bring up things that are not Revit files. These are families, so they're going to have the .rfa instead of the .rvt. So let's say I wanted to bring in this fireplace. If I click on download now, down here in the corner, you're going to see that it's downloading. Now, the next thing I suggest that you do is in your Office Project file on your OneDrive that you create a folder for components. Sometimes when we don't keep our components with us and we just put it in the downloads, if you move computers and such, sometimes everything does not follow. So it's really important that you save everything you use in your project to the same folder that your file is in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on the fireplace mantle, and it's typically always going to ask me to upgrade the model. So I'm going to say OK. And now you see I'm actually in the family. A lot of times, again, I can make modifications in these components. Sometimes I can't. It just kind of depends. So once I've decided if this is what I want, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File and I'm going to do Save As. And again, I want to save this as a family. And I want to go to my OneDrive and save it in the same file as my office building project is in. And I'm going to create a new folder called Components. And I'm going to save this in that location. So now this should be updated and be in my folder. So now all I have to do is do Load into Project. And now, as long as I'm against a wall, it will let me. Again, some items have to be against walls or tied to a wall. So for now, I'm just going to place it here. And then I can go to my 3D view and go to my camera, place my camera here, do a view looking back, and I can see the fireplace and make sure it's what I want. I can also come down here to my realistic, kind of see what colors it is. And again, don't get real caught up right now in placing a lot of items beyond what's already being asked of the project, and don't worry about finishes. We will come back to that at a later time. So that's the best way to work with Revit City. Download it, save it into your components folder, and then load it into your project. You have to have your project open, and you have to open this in the same project. The next thing I want to talk about is Enscape. Enscape is the program that we are going to be using to do the virtual reality. If you click on Enscape, you'll see right here you have Asset Library. So if you click on this, Enscape has a lot of really cool components, or assets as they call them. They've really updated this over the last couple of years. Their people are amazing, and it takes a little bit for everything to load. The people in Revit are pretty bland, but in Enscape you get people doing all kinds of different things. You get kids, you get people riding bicycles, you get some really nice trees, etc. So if I just want to bring one of these into my drawing, Say I want to bring the guy in riding the bicycle. So I'm going to bring him in and I'm going to place him right here. And I'm going to rotate him a little bit because I want to kind of see him from the side a little bit. And then I'm going to do my 3D view with my camera. Now, a couple things you'll notice when I'm in Revit that he doesn't look very good. If I come down here and I go to realistic, he still doesn't look very good. I have to actually go into Enscape, hit start, open Enscape, which is going to take a little bit of time. And what I like to do is have Revit on one screen and Enscape on the other screen because Enscape is a real-time update. But for our purposes, I'm going to put both on my screen. In Enscape, we can actually see what the guy truly looks like. That means when we get done and we're ready to do our presentation drawings that we're going to do them through Enscape. First of all, it's a lot faster. Second of all, you don't want this in your Revit renderings. Rendering through Enscape, we'll get into that later on, but it's much better. So don't worry if when you're in Revit it looks like this. If you want to see what it truly looks like, you can go into Enscape and actually look at it. Again, don't get caught up in adding a lot of things to your drawings beyond what is expected at this point. What we will do is we will select the locations that we want to go in and add a lot more items to. So again, I'm just showing this so you kind of know what the plan is and how we're going to move on from here. You have Revit components, you have Revit City components, you have Enscape components, and then you have lots of other components from the internet that you can bring in. Again, whatever you download, you need to download and put into your component file. Once you have completed all of the work for this part of the project, you are to submit a PDF of your floor plan, your door schedule, your window schedule, and your wall schedule, and they are each worth this amount of points. Make sure your PDFs are attached to this assignment and your Revit file is attached. Also be sure everything is saved in your OneDrive. I want to point out, be sure that you've included all required information on your drawing. I will not grade if everything is not included per the program labeled and noted correctly. Note, all rooms and spaces are to be labeled. We are getting very close to the end of this class. We need to really be working hard. You need to be working every day. If you have any questions, let me know.